the job is not done. We are not at 2%. And the last few inflation readings, one came out today, has shown that this is not going to be an inexorable march that gets you immediately to 2%, but that rather there are going to be some bumps along the way. You're going to see readings to suggest that there is some volatility and variation in what's going to happen in the progression of inflation. And so the second word is vigilant. I've got to stay attentive. I've got to pay attention and make sure that I'm aware of trends as they're happening. So for me, when I think about what my focus is, it's really, are we still on the path to 2%? Right. So even with these last few readings, CPI or PCE, they've come in higher than people had hoped. But if you look over the long arc, it's still, the slope of the line is still going down, right? And that's an important thing to keep in mind. Now, these mean that the slope is not as steep as it was perhaps before, but it's still negative, and that's a positive thing. We just need to make sure it stays that way. Now, in terms of your last question, a year ago, I had expected that the first cut in rates would be appropriate probably the end of this year at the earliest. The acceleration of inflation's decline has caused me to pull that forward. And so for me, I'm of a view that it'll probably be appropriate if things go the way I expect to see us to start to reduce rates in the summertime. But the other thing I did want to just add on that is that I started in December. I've now moved this forward 6 months because of experience. Experience will ultimately be our guide, be my guide in thinking about what's appropriate. And so we'll have to see what happens over the next several months. And that will really determine whether that summer expectation is appropriate or whether I should pull it forward even further or push it back if things go in a different way. And so I'm just going to keep my eyes open. You've heard many people say, talk about the Fed as we're always saying the word data dependent. It's actually a real thing. And we're going to try to pay attention to make sure we're seeing what's happening.